Hey everyone, Jim and Chris back with another update. This is about rental inventory predictions. There are so many questions getting thrown at us. What's happening with inventory levels in Florida? Are they out of control? Is there enough? Is there too much? And Chris has been doing a lot of research for us on this. Chris, what are you finding with some of these holds on properties, on projects? What are you seeing for not only now, but what we're going to probably see over the next year?
Well, I think we're going to continue to see, over the next 12 months, I think we're going to continue to see what feels like too much inventory in the market. I think from a leasing perspective, that is, where we're starting to see longer lease up times. We're starting to see some flattening of rents. We're starting to see even longer periods of time on homes on the market for sale, and I think that's going to continue on here for probably around the next 12 months. But what you need to understand when thinking about real estate in general is how long the process is to get from a piece of raw land to a finished home that's ready to go on the market, either for rent or for sale. And what we're seeing today is we're seeing the culmination of all of the inventory that was trying to be built during COVID that finally all came online at once. So you had this wave of inventory that came in where we needed it. We need that inventory to support the growing population in Florida, 1,000 residents a day, but we don't need it all at one time. And that's really what we saw is so much of this inventory coming on at once. But the thing that we haven't seen yet is the effects of these rising interest rates, which started, in 2022. Actually, the beginning of 2022 is when we started seeing these interest rates go up. And with each increase in interest rates, you saw more and more pullback of either home builders or multifamily operators and developers, where everybody started getting nervous. And I remember at the end of 2022, everybody was extremely nervous about what was going to happen in the economy going forward. Was the Fed going to push us into a recession? Was there going to be a 2008 sort of correction? Those were the doomsdayers. And so what that caused is it caused the banks and the developers to pull back. So now what we're seeing is, these development projects that would have started at the beginning of 2023 didn't start, or much fewer amounts of these development projects started. And then even more importantly, you're seeing that people that would have been now entitling projects. So if I go back to the timeline, and I think we've done this in another video, if you go take a raw piece of land and you put it under contract today, you have to go through rezoning, which takes 6 months. Then you have to go through engineering and approval process with the county and the utilities and the water management district, another 12 months. So you're 18 months before you can actually start moving dirt. And then it takes another 12 months to actually put the roads and the streets and the water and the sewer in. So, now you're 2.5 years in before you can start building your first house. And now you start building a home, and that takes you 6 months. So you're 3 years essentially from when you find that piece of land to delivering a finished home.
Yep.
Well, we saw a lot of that happening in 2020 and 21. Everybody was trying to catch the demand. And so that's why you had all of these properties coming online here in 23 and 24. Whereas, what we haven't seen yet is the air gap in there, where people did that big pullback at the end of 2022 and all the way through 2023, where you're not having new properties being started in development and you're not having nearly as many going into entitlements. So there's going to be a period of time, we believe that it's going to be somewhere through midway through 2025 that we're going to start seeing a shortage of rental housing and of for sale new construction housing, because these projects have not been underway all this time. And we've already started to see that happen in the national home builder market. We have a division of our company that sells finished lots, and we're seeing that the national home builders are running out of lots. And so they're driving up these lot prices, and that's just a sign that there's a shortage of that inventory. So, we've still got a little bit more pain to go through in our humble opinion, we're probably going to have 12 more months of what we would consider relative pain. And and again, I say relative because now it's taking in some cases 60, maybe 90 days to lease up and stabilize a new construction home, when in 2020 and 2021 we were getting very used to having the home rented when the CO happened. So this is not totally out of the realm of reality. Being 60 to 90 days for a stabilization period. It's just not what we had become accustomed to.
Yeah.
But you go back to 2019 pre-COVID. It was a pretty average scenario. So anyway, so that's what we anticipate to happen, and then we feel like that shortage is going to last for a couple years. We're going to have another couple years of shortage at least, maybe more. Where we're going to start to see rising rents again because, again, supply and demand.
Well, not only rising rents, but also if there's a shortage on inventory.
Oh, rising home prices, absolutely, yeah.
So that's one thing that we've seen before. When there's that shortage, then there has to be growth in that direction.
Exactly.
But I think with stabilization, as you said, we have to look at the histories. Like you said, we probably are a little bit higher than 2019 right now. In renting stability and getting it stabilized, but also inventory levels are not that much different than 2019. So a lot has come on, but we were so used. I mean, we had normally on a market and on one of our average markets, you have about 4 to 5 months of inventory that's on there that sells on the MLS. We were down to 3 weeks in some of our markets in the pandemic. And I think what happened with all of us, we got jaded to what was actually normal for both inventory levels and stabilization. And so it's been a regrounding for all of us. But one thing that Chris and I feel really good about, and our whole team, is the fundamentals of the markets that we're in. All of our markets are still experiencing that population growth. The jobs are still coming to the markets in Florida. The affordability index of where we focus on are good. And again, there were reasons why people said, why aren't you in Miami? Why aren't you in Tampa? Why aren't you in Orlando? It was our job to find where were the fundamentals going strong, but we could get you in at that real good affordability index. That just means where the average family income can afford the average price for a home in that area. And those bigger markets didn't have that, but the second tier markets where we focus still do. So we feel good about that in this longer term approach for being able to continue what we set out to do, which was have great portfolios with great fundamentals for long-term appreciation, growth, and wealth. And I believe for what we're going to see, like Chris said, through the end of this year, Chris is more of the pessimist, I guess I'd call you. I think by the end of this year, I really look at elections. Elections, no matter who is in power, wants to look good. And I believe that the elections are going to start to pull rates down and also give incentives for some of these people to try to get off the benches quicker. Still, they're going to be behind, like Chris said. You can't have a 2.5-year project and speed it up that much. But I think that's going to propel some of this absorption a little quicker. And also, it's going to put pressure on shorter inventory, which is great for all of us, being able to build the properties and be ahead of the game. So anyway, we just wanted to get this news out to you. Is there anything you wanted to finalize on just the overall market?
Well, I would say the only other thing I would point out, and if you haven't seen it, we always go back to these Fred charts, which are put out by the Federal Reserve. And I think it's very interesting because we all remember 2008. It's scorched in everybody's brain. That go back and look at the inventory levels on that chart.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the inventory levels now are drastically lower than they were in 2000. I mean, it's a chart like this: 2008 inventory to today.
That's a
I mean,
great
it's a night and day difference. And and again, we're in a state that grows by 1,000 people a day.
Yeah.
So you've got 15 years of 365,000 people a year coming to the state, and we've got significantly lower inventory levels than what was arguably an overbuilt peak inventory standpoint in our history. So I always like to look at the data. That's at the end of the day, that's what makes me sleep well at night, because here we are in Florida, building houses, we got to make sure we have people to fill those houses for years to come.
Yeah. And in '08, like you said, like Southwest Florida, one of our fastest growing markets, they were overbuilt, way overbuilt. And when you're overbuilt, obviously that causes all sorts of problems. And not only was there too much inventory, there was too much leverage. I mean, when you look at the leverage, and what that means is, what is the average loan to value? How much equity do the houses have on average? You go ahead and look up the statistics of what the average leverage is in our market today compared to 2006 or 7, because I know a lot of people go, is this another '08? Statistically, we're not seeing anything like that. We feel great about it. The market is lowly leveraged from that standpoint. The inventory levels are nowhere near the '07, '08 days, and we see a real silver lining in this shorter term coming up through the election, and then with these delays on these bigger projects. So. Yeah. Yeah. So overall, just wanted to get you guys, it's been big questions coming at us, our property counselors, our property management. They asked us to do a video to make sure we were kind of giving our stats and our takes on it. We're looking forward to the next few years. We believe there's going to be another run, especially in the strong fundamental markets like Florida and Texas. And we want you guys to be a part of it. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.